I recently had to sign up for a healthcare plan, and there's a couple ways to do it, right? So you can sign up for it, like do the shit in the mail, or you can do it all online. So I went and did it all online, and I filled out all this stuff, and it said, at the end, it said, within 10 days of completing this form, you must send us a letter explaining why you need healthcare. Like, well, I need healthcare because I don't have healthcare. That's why I need it. What's with all the questions, you know? Like, you're not going to get stopped at the grocery store, like, excuse me, sir, what are your intentions for these apples? None of your damn business. That wasn't the part that bothered me, though. The part that bothered me is that they wanted me to write a letter. And I don't know about you guys, I haven't written a letter ever. I've never written a letter because we're in the future. We don't need to write letters. You know, I'm not going to get drunk and Morse code my ex-girlfriend. Like, beep, 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 you still up, beep, 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 I miss you, beep, 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 beep. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not some sort of like a Civil War veteran riding home from the front lines. Like, my dearest Casa Permanente. It has been ages since I have seen that sweet look upon your face. Your affordable premiums and excellent customer service have seen me through many a dark time. Sincerely yours, Julius, Cornelius, Augustius, the Seventh. The thing is, like, I don't know how to write like a real adult business letter. So this is how my letter went. It went to whomever it may concern, bro. I know you got that healthcare shit. What if I get the diabetes? Seriously, stop bogarting all the healthcare. Love Austin. I put love. I don't know how else to end a letter, but it worked out. I got healthcare, so it all worked out, guys. Speaking of healthcare, I recently went to Canada, and I like traveling. I don't know if you guys know about Canada. Canada and the United Kingdom are very like strict with who they let in. So if you have like even a minor criminal record, they won't let you in. So I was doing some research before we went on our trip. And I was looking up on Canada's criminal justice system. In America, they have like 3 levels of offenses, right? The low-level stuff is called infractions. Mid-level stuff is known as misdemeanors. And then like the serious stuff like murder and bank robbery, that's known as felony. Now Canada has sort of a similar system, but they have different like terms. So the lowest level offenses in Canada are known as what's all the fuss about. The equivalent to a misdemeanor is called, come on now, seriously, knock it off there, eh? And the most serious of all crimes in Canada is known as grand shenanigans. They don't have the death penalty either. They'll just like, if you're a murderer, they'll just give you like a really bad Indian burn, and that's their version of capital punishment. I don't know, I really liked it. Like, people up there were really nice. And I always hear people, like, making wisecracks about Canadians and, like, Canada. And I always feel like old people complaining about Mexican immigrants. And I'm like, dude, we have 2 of the best neighbors in the world. Like, North America is a great neighborhood. There's great property value. We have a good view of both oceans. Like, there's, like, 30 countries that border Russia. And if you're not familiar with history, Russia has always sucked. It's always sucked. It's a cold, sad place. Like, Russia's like the dude in the neighborhood. Just at any hour of the night, he's like out in his front yard lifting weights with no shirt on. He's just like blasting techno music middle of the night. He smokes the type of cigarettes that make you want to cough just looking at him. That's who they have. Like, our guys, like our neighbors, are just like a stoner who watches too much hockey. And a family man who keeps on trying to break into our backyard. In all fairness, it did used to be his backyard, and he does still mow it, so... the people up there were nice, man. Like even the cops were nice in Canada, which wasn't. We got stopped at the border. I was with my friend's band, and they searched the van because it was like a van full of like dudes. They thought like we might have drugs or something, and then they ran background checks on us. And I had a DUI on my record, but I got it expunged. So they held us for like an hour where they were looking it up on the computer. And the guy, like, I feel like an American cop, like when they let us through, the American cop would have been like, "You got lucky there, boy," and then would have just like maced me for the road. This one's on the house. But the Canadian cop, he was like, congratulations, you just saved the trip. After I had needlessly put the trip in jeopardy. And then we high-fived and now we're friends. His name is Randy, he loves the outdoors, and we're good buddies now. Because he, like the guy who searched the van though, like before we left, he was like, "Have a good show there, eh?" And it was the nicest thing any cop has ever said to me. Like he immediately became one of my top 5 favorite cops, along with my DARE officer who arrested me 10 years later. That happened. That actually happened. He was disappointed. He wasn't angry. And RoboCop. Those are my top 3 favorite cops. I don't mean to like disparage cops at all. Like I know a lot of police officers. They're good people. My stepmom is actually a cop, and she's one of the. I gotta say, she's one of like the bravest, most hardworking, decent, kindest fucking monsters I've ever met in my life. She's awful. She was actually, this is true, she was born on Halloween. I guess my dad must have met her at like a pumpkin patch or something. She's kind of like a tomboy and stuff like that. Like, she'd do this thing, you know like teenage boys do this thing where like they punch each other in the arm, trying to get each other dead arm? She would do that to my dad, and then she would look at me right in the eyes and say, "Hey Austin, don't hit women." I was like, "Or else they'll hit me back?" I don't get how, that's not a good way to teach a lesson. And like, I would never fight a woman, because first off, I think it's morally wrong. Also, I feel like half of the reason you fight is to look good in front of other people. And like, if you fight a woman and win, you look bad. If you fight a woman and lose, you look bad. If you fight a woman and it's a draw, it's a stalemate, you look bad. Which I think is kind of sexist. I think that's kind of sexist. I was thinking like, all right, there's this 6'8" basketball player named Brittany Griner. And I was just thinking, hypothetically, if I fought Brittany Griner and won, the narrative shouldn't be, "Oh, Austin's a woman beater." It should be, "Austin's an amazing fighter." He just defeated a giant in single combat. He's a giant slayer. I recently went to a strip club. I'm not a big strip club guy, despite my appearance. I feel weird. I feel weird there. I feel like the same way going to strip club that I feel going to the Pound. I just want to take them all home with me and give them a better life. Just want to roll up in a van like, "Come on, get in, Layla, Destiny, Sapphire. Yes, even you, Denise. If that is your real name, Denise." I had a friend, he said he refused to go to strip clubs because he says like, "Oh man, that's a demeaning job. That's demeaning work for women." And I was like, "Hey man, I used to work at Rubio's." Getting yelled at by fat people about food, that's demeaning. "Excuse me, there's not enough guacamole on this torture." "Sir, you've had more than enough guacamole." I've had a lot of shitty jobs, but probably the worst job I ever had, I was a driver for this old racist lady, and it was as fun as it sounds. And she was really racist, But it was weird because like she didn't know how stereotypes worked. So this happened one time. We were driving along. We got cut off by a guy, and she's like, "What a terrible driver. He must be a Mexican." You know all about those Mexican drivers, right? Do you mean Asian? Look, I don't agree with stereotypes, but I feel like if you're going to use them, you should at least use them correctly. Another time she dropped this, she was like, "You know, all those Mexicans are alcoholics." And I was like, "Do you mean the Irish or Native Americans or any other?" And I was thinking maybe she just applies every stereotype to Mexicans, right? She's like, you know, Mexicans started the mafia and they're always eating spaghetti. Did you hear about those Mexicans and their big black wieners? Or what about those Mexicans and their little Chinese wieners? I was hanging out with my grandparents today. I think it's important to spend time with the grandparents. I feel like there's a lot they have to offer us. Also, I really like watching my grandfather get angry. I think old white man rage is like the funnest type of anger, right? Because first off, probably no one's going to get hurt. And if they do decide to get violent, you can just power walk away from them, and you'll be in the clear. This happened one time. Me and my cousin were going for a walk in the park, and it was a nice day. In the middle of the sidewalk, there was a box. And we don't know who put it there or why. My cousin thought it'd be funny just to go sit down on this box in the middle of the sidewalk. Out of the blue comes this old white guy on a bike pedaling up, and he's like, "Out of the way, shit for brains." And then he just rides off. We're just sitting there stunned, like, what do? Do we go fight him? Do we file a complaint with an AARP? I don't know how to handle this situation. But I noticed, like, when a lot of old white guys, when they curse, they don't like to use the F word. I noticed this, the only time I ever heard my grandfather use the F word is you could tell something was about to go down, right? Because he's bald, and his face and his entire head got really red. And he started shaking, and the shake started at his feet and then worked their way up slowly to the rest of his body. He was like, "You know what? I've had just about enough of this goddamn malarkey. Fuck you!" And then he had to go lay down for 4.5 hours. Thanks, you guys have been great.
This is Roxanne.